Hey guys, it's Chip here, and starting off a new solo podcast called the Skjeggmenn Kniver. And if you guys are familiar with the Knives Templars Podcast, we've had a run for about 71 episodes now, and we really enjoy talking knives and blacksmithing and the community and all the things that we do. But I had a calling to do a different type of podcast. One that just kind of features my views, but also may have some people on from time to time. So, hey, it's called the Skjeggmenn Kniver. And for people out there that follow me, Skjeggmenn Knives, most of them will call it knifemaker, knife-maker.com. It's easier. Or they'll call it Skjeggmenn Knives. And it's pronounced like Skjeggmenn, Skjeggmenn Knives. It's a Norwegian word that means beardman. And when I used to backpack, I had a couple of hikers that happened to be from Scandinavia. And they said, Flott skjegg. And that became my hiking name, Flott skjegg, which means great beard. Didn't know what it means at the time, but I went by it and finally found out that that's what it means, because I have some more Norwegian heritage, and I got in with a group, and they let me know. So thanks to that guy for his great compliment. And they say when you get your trail name, it just comes to you, and just like mine, it came to me as well. But Skjeggmenn Knives was born. The name was born out of that and carried into our knife company. The purpose of this podcast is to just elaborate on some things, daily things in life. I turned 60 this month, and I've been planning this for a year or so. And I thought, well, this is a fitting time to do it, because when we get older, we profess to have wisdom. A lot of us, our faith will grow. We enjoy little things more. And life kind of slows down while the years speed up. But that's okay, because there's grandchildren and other things that take place of that. When I was trying to determine, hey, what's going to be my first podcast topic for the Skjeggmenn Kniver, and I thought, a friend of mine, a friend of mine said, you said something to me a while back, and when she saw this, she ended up actually making me a bourbon glass that's got, look how far you got on it. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today. Look how far you got. Not the fact that I got 60 years, I'm pleased with that, but just in life. Young people and people just need to know, and older people as well, I would say, that we get too discouraged with things and we give up. A perfect example is a few years ago when I used to volunteer as a wilderness ranger in the Bankhead National Forest. Our job was to go out and maintain trails, help people, customer service in the forest. We didn't have any authority, so to speak. We were just wilderness rangers, and it gave me a good time to do what I like to do best, which is just chat with people. Well, I'll tell you one of the things when I was out there. breaking in a new pipe. One of the things when I was out there, I used to always love to ask people one thing: what are you eating for dinner? People used to always love to tell you what they're eating for dinner. They could have a $300 tent, $300 backpack, brand new pair of $200 hiking shoes, and ready to go, but it was all about what was going to happen that evening, what they're going to have for dinner. And I always listened because people always were excited. And they were always the people that went out and bought the Mountain House ones, which are freeze-dried, that would always kind of come in and say, well, I got a Mountain House spaghetti meatballs. And I'd say, well, that sounds great, because you got to lift people up. And I will tell you, Mountain House isn't always that bad. And it's, light to carry. I have been known to get my head stuck in a bag of Mountain House biscuits and gravy in the morning. Almost had to set off my GPS alarm to bring in rescue to get my head out of the bag. That's how good it is. But people in the forest are always fun to deal with. And it took me to one particular lady. I don't remember her name, but she's one of those that went out and bought a lot of gear. She got herself ready, and she was setting off this weekend to do something she had never done before. Never been in the forest before. But she was going to go out in the forest, and she was going to spend the weekend camping and having a good time. Well, she did. And we got notified on a Saturday that there was a hiker in distress. May have it now. Well, the pipe is always the second light. Of course, I've done about 3, but once you tamp it, we'll see if I can't hold it now. But I had a hiker in his distress, and she had gone into the forest, taken all of her gear, all of her food, hiked several miles in, and ran low on water because she was on a trail that didn't have much water. And while that particular wilderness is full of water, she picked one of the known trails that you really got to make sure you're going to get from A to B and have water to get there, and she didn't. So she was hiking back out. It was a hot time of summer to be in there. Well, she was about a mile from the trailhead, and we got her in. And when we did, she was all defeated. We carried her gear and helped her and took our time. It took a long time to get that last mile. And while we were there, we were giving her Pedialyte packages. We take it powdered, we mix it with our water and give it to people if they needed it. And got her to kind of come to. She may have had some other health issues that may have caused her blood sugar levels to be off. But she was defeated. And as she was sitting there next to her car, feeling better, still feeling defeated, I looked at her and I said, but look how far you got. Look how far you got. And her eyes looked up, still defeated. And I said, you've done something that you set out to do that you didn't know if you could do it or not. Look how far you got. And thank goodness that you had angels in here looking for you, the people that notified us. But you never gave up. You got all the way back. And she acted as if she wasn't ever going to come do that again. And I said, I have a hiking group. It was called Watchers of the Wilderness. And we'd get out and run around the forest and do things. And I said, well, come hiking with us sometime. And she finally agreed to a little bit of urging. She became a wonderful hiker. She certainly knew how to maintain her water. And she brought a good filter so that she could get more water, because you want to carry as little as you have to, but she brought a good filter to make sure she always had water. And she knew the trails. She knew the path ahead that she was going to take. But in life, we should always be happy with where we got and not accept defeat. One thing is that a guy told me years ago is that, I blacksmith knives, make some simple tools and stuff. Most of my work is knives. And he said, personal growth is kind of like this anvil here. He said, throughout life, you're going to have to be put through the fire a lot. The fire burns, but it makes you malleable, breaks you down. And then you're going to go back to that anvil, and you're going to start forming it. You're going to form yourself to who you should be. But you're going to have to keep going back to the fire and keep out and moving a little bit each time with that hammer. And eventually it'll turn you into what you're supposed to be. And I thought, man, that's a really, really good advice. Great analogy for someone who beats steel on an anvil. That we've got to continue to form ourselves to what we want to be. And that means setting goals at which you can attain so that you're more successful each time you got to where you got. The lady did this in some way. She put herself through the fire. She came back. She didn't give up. And she came out and hiked again and again and again until she molded herself into the person that she wanted to be with regard to the outdoors. So whether it is your faith, somebody recently told me I don't know much about the Bible. Maybe I need to try and go to church. And I said, come with me. Go yourself. I can point you in the direction. Because God's always there for you. But don't jump in and expect to be this great Christian. When God breaks it down for us, he tells us, the way the Father is through me. And once you accept that, you're in. Sin no more. But that growth continues to where you understand and you become more proficient in your Christianity as you go. It applies to soccer players, baseball players, businessmen, businesswomen, dancers, just whoever it is in life. The way to grow is to set your goals a little bit at a time so that you can attain them and be successful. Once I had some goals met in life and this, that, and the other, though, I realized that, life can get us down. As an older man, it doesn't seem to get me down like it used to because I've given it my faith. But the other thing I want to talk about today is blessings. And a few years ago, many years ago, my sons were younger. They're both grown now, I have grandkids. But several years ago, the worries of work and home, cars, everything can get to you, life in general. And people would always say, hey, give it to God. He'll take all that off you. Matter of fact, you read in the Bible, it says, give it to God. He'll take that away from you. And I always believed that. For some reason, I always went and took it back from God. And I realized when I did. I think we all realize when we do. And if you're not a person of faith, that's okay. I'll get to that. I have no faith in these matches today. So if you're a person of faith, a lot of us will tend to take it back from God. And several years ago, I had a Sunday school class, and it said, come back next week. It's part of our lesson. It said, determine what word defines you. And for some reason, that class stuck with me. And I wanted to, that particular class stuck with me, that lesson. And I came back next week after studying. I didn't always do that. For some reason, that one bit me. And I came back, and after all week long, I came up with the word blessed. And I don't know why I did. It was just blessed. And I went back, and we had our lesson. And we talked about our words. And we went back the next week, we didn't talk about them anymore. I still felt so much energy from that. And at one point, I realized that God was telling me to recognize my blessings, to assist with all the worries in life. And I needed something to represent that in my life, because it was just up here. I needed something tangible. I'm a tangible person. So I went to my church, and my pastor had a token, like a little purple poker chip. Said, "God loves you" on it. And I took that and I put it in my pocket. I carry it. And whenever I need to realize that God loves me, I pull out that poker chip and I look at it. But still, I found that I always kind of gave things to God and still wanted to take them back, even though I had my chip to remind me of my blessed being. So I had to come up with a way to take care of the worries in life and this, that, and the other. And one aspect of that with me was I thought about when we breathe. And when we breathe and we breathe out that air, you can never get that breath back again. That air is gone around the world. And to be recycled again. Carbon dioxide's got to be processed by a tree, turn back into oxygen, and go out, and some other living creature will respirate on it. And I thought, well, when I have a worry, I'm going to breathe it out to God. And when I did that, it seemed to take my worries away. And I realized more and more and more just how blessed I was. And I realized that God was putting me on a mission, because now my desire was to share my blessings with others by helping them to realize they were quite blessed. And I'd go out into the world, the second part of this transformation with me. And I would also always make sure in any situation, and I even do this today, I tell people to have a blessed day, or be blessed, or some derivative of that. And it found out early on just how amazing it was, how wide people's eyes got when you said something like that. You could see a flash of something in their eyes, just acknowledging it. And it'd come back two ways. Thank you very much. You have a blessed day too, or just thank you very much. Or they would say, I'm not religious. And then I would immediately just say, well, you have the most wonderful day. And I realized that spreading happiness was just as important with those blessings, especially if you hit a blessing on it. And that seemed to make people that weren't religious, their eyes sparkled up. I was at Blade Show 2 years ago, the big Blade convention that occurs in Atlanta every summer. Guy I'd known for years, and I said to him, have a blessed day, as he was leaving a table I was at. He said, Chip, I'm not religious. And I said, no, I didn't know that, but that's all right. I want you to have a wonderful day, and I love you. And he said, I did that to get a rise out of you, because most people I get a rise out of. He said, you didn't defend it. I believe you do love me. And our friendship grew closer. But he was challenging my faith to hold true to sharing those blessings. More time went on, and I decided that I've got to encourage people to not only hear that they're blessed, but encourage them to tell somebody they're blessed as well, to share those blessings, encourage other people to be blessed. And in doing so, I found I was planting seeds. Now, I didn't know that when I talk to somebody, have a blessed day, hey, make sure you reach out and love somebody or tell somebody else that they're blessed today also. Just that giving them that to live up to in their lives. Sometimes people go, I will, and some people just, moved on. I realized I was planting seeds, and lost it again. I realized I was planting seeds, and it's just kind of like planting seeds in the earth, that some seeds will take, some seeds don't. But if you plant enough seeds, you'll harvest a good crop. And eventually, you'll learn to prepare that ground. And these are some cheap matches. They're special matches. I'll tell you in a minute. You'll learn to prepare that ground to accept those seeds, meaning you prepare the situation to accept those seeds, and you'll have a more bountiful growth. So you don't always know, when you tell people to share their blessings, what seeds will come back up. But the ones that do, sometimes it gets back to you. They did. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, I believe, speaks about, sowing good seeds and reaping bountiful crops. And I think that that's kind of what it speaks to, that the more happiness that we share, we get away from the doldrums, the anger, the fighting in traffic, the snide remark of somebody you work with, or speaking harshly to a family member or a friend. If you get rid of those and just use love and happiness when you communicate, you'll plant seeds that are also blessings. The last 2 years I've made knives, and every knife I've made the last 2 years was given away for free. And up until about a month ago. And it's not that I won't ever make another free knife for somebody, but the way I chose that is that I saw some people in life that were really down, that needed a kickstart, and or were a blessing to other people. And I made them that work of art, a nice culinary knife, or if they were a hunter, a hunting knife or whatever. Just to say that, hey, you're blessed. A lot of times people would say, I want to pay you for this. How do I pay you for this? And I would just simply say, donate it to your favorite charity or your church, whatever you think is appropriate, but I don't want anything for it. And that's gone on for a couple of years. Now, my wife said you need to make some money selling these knives, but I found that God rewarded me with over those couple of years. That, like right now, I've got 19 knives on back order to make for people, and I'm charging, and but I'm selling them at really good prices as well. And prices meaning I'm not taking advantage of people, and I became a much better knife maker in the process. This year, I hope that when I go to Blade Show, I get my 4 first knives approved to get to start my guild designation, which is a process for a knife maker, and we'll see how that goes. But I think it all comes back to, if you plant seeds in life, you'll reap what you sow. If you plant good seeds, crops will come back. They'll be bountiful in friendship and love, accepted knives in the Knife Guild, less worry, and just making the world a better place. So that's my first podcast, and I will encourage you guys to, if you're a knife maker or a knife enthusiast, to go out and listen to the Knives Templars. You can find us at the knifestemplars.com. And you can find this podcast being hosted over at knife-maker.com, but it'll also be out on Spotify and all the other YouTube, Apple Music, and all the other podcast apps. But just want to make sure that you have a chance to listen if it's something you feel like you're interested in. And provide me some feedback. Please subscribe. This is the part of the podcast where I tell you a little bit about my sponsors. I've got 3. My first is Emily down in Florida. She owns castingcrafts.com. If you are a knife maker, you need to go to castingcrafts.com and look at some of the handle materials that she provides. If you don't see what you like there, you contact her directly, and Emily will make some of the most beautiful knife scales or handle pieces for you. The other one is TR Maker, and Yusil Yudiz from Istanbul, Turkey. He manufactures a line of knife making tools. You can find him at tr-maker.com. And if you're a knife maker or anybody that does automotive or anything like that, you'll find a world of wonderful tools to make your job much easier. Matter of fact, if you invest in the right tools, you'll always produce a better product. And the last one I want to mention to you is Hats by Grizz. Little Grizz is his name. Lives in center of Kansas, Yamalo, Kansas. He's been making hats for 50 years. The way hats have been made for hundreds of years, he makes them all by hand. And he can be found on Facebook at Hats by Grizz, or you can find him at etsy.com/shop/Hats by Grizz. You'll communicate with his wonderful wife, Joy, and they will put you on a hat in no time. Lots of different styles, men and women styles, not all Western. And you'll find something you'll truly treasure. The hat I'm wearing today is a black ranchero that he got out for me for Christmas. So kind of honored to have it. Go out and check out Little Grizz on Facebook or Etsy. Other than that, everybody have a blessed day.